So, once again, I'm happy and pleased to welcome you all to another special session of Creator Tech Connect series. Let me introduce myself. This is me, Deepika Prabhakaran, with you all, and I'm from Zoho Creator training team. Before we start the session, I want to outline a few housekeeping rules where all the attendees will be on mute. And if you have any questions that populates in your mind, please access the question tab and post all your questions. So none of your questions will be missed out and all your questions will be answered by our co-trainers. And if you find any interruptions in between the session or if you want to revisit the entire session, do not worry. A recording of this session will be sent to all the registrants. And let's keep the session interactive. I request you all to take part in the polls and surveys that will be conducted during the session or after the session. So today's Tech Connect series is about Mobile SDK and Zoho Creator for Android. For the followers, you know that we've been doing this mobile customization as a series. Now, why have we planned mobile customization? A customized mobile app plays a major role in the customer market, which is also increasing the user activity, the customer's experience, and also increasing the customer's interactivity, which is again increasing the brand loyalty. So, keeping all these pointers in mind only, we have come up with this mobile customization series, and we all know that the part one, which was on customizing the mobile applications in Zoho Creator, and our part two was about rebranding the mobile applications in Zoho Creator, which was for both Android and iOS. Part 3 has been segregated into two sessions, where in today's session we'll cover the mobile SDK in Zoho Creator for Android, and in the next week we will be covering up mobile SDK in Zoho Creator for iOS. So let's have a quick recap before we start about today's session. In part one, which is in the customizing mobile apps, we saw what are the different customization options that is available in Zoho Creator. Also, we know we have different components available in Zoho Creator, which is forms, reports, and pages. So how to do module-wise mobile customization is also covered. We also saw about the PWA, which is Progressive Web Applications. And then the session was wrapped with a live demonstration as well as the key pointers. Next, part two. In part two, we saw about rebranding the mobile applications, where we saw what our rebranded mobile applications exactly is. And then we saw how to collect the prerequisites and how are prerequisites really important in order to perform the rebranding. Next, the complete process involved in the rebranding, followed by the live demonstration, and the session was wrapped by the key pointers. Now let's see what do we have in store for today's session. We are going to see the introduction about the SDK, and then we'll get to understand how are the mobile SDKs in Zoho Creator. Then we have the SDK types. We will also see the libraries involved along with their classes, followed by the demonstration. Then we'll wrap the session by understanding the benefits of mobile SDK in Zoho Creator. Now let's understand what is mobile SDK. So let's first understand the SDK term, where it stands for Software Development Kit, or this is also called as a dev kit. So let's imagine that we have a web-based application and we want that as a mobile application, but not a simple mobile application, yet a customized mobile applications. So if you're worried that you're going to write the code from the scratch in order to customize your mobile application for the look and feel or for different functionalities, then do not worry. SDK has our back. That this is a set of tool that contains APIs, sample codes, libraries, etc., which will help us to avoid writing the code from the scratch. Rather, we can use this SDK and customize our mobile application by writing the custom UI for our applications. So, hoping this is pretty much clear about the SDK. Now, let's understand what do we have about the mobile SDKs in Zoho Creator. So, the mobile developers, before that, we all know that Zoho Creator is a low-code platform. Now, how the low-code platform is managing to provide the custom mobile applications. The mobile developers can easily build custom and platform-specific applications, where they can build applications for both Android and also for iOS. So additionally, using this creators SDK methods and function, we can programmatically fetch the data from the creator's different modules such as forms, reports, and pages. Also, we can design the UI based on our style guides by with the help of Creator SDK that will be powering the backend development. And also, using the Creators SDK, we can build applications for both users and for customers. So let's understand. The users are nothing but the internal organizational users, and the customers are portal or the users who do not belong to our organization. Now let's understand the different SDK types that we have. So we can build SDK types for both users and for the customers who are for the portal users. Again, for them, we can build applications both for Android and for iOS. Again, for these Android and iOS, we have the libraries, which is the core SDK and UI and code. So let's understand about these libraries along with their classes. The core library. So what the core library will help us to do, we can write our custom UI. Now let's understand this with an example. Imagine we have an application in Creator, which is a web-based application, and you also have an application for the front end, like the mobile customized mobile application. Now, keeping Creator as the backend, you can write your custom UI where you can interact with the application. You cannot access the creators components where we cannot embed a form or embed a report or make a report or form come as a pop-up, but we can write the custom UI for the applications. Whatever apps that we are building, the data will be present in different modules of Creator. So let's understand the building approach. We are having the Creator's application and you're writing the Android project code. In order to fetch or in order to perform the CRUD operations inside the Creator app using your Android project code, we have the Zoho Creator's Core SDK as a mediator, which will bridge the gap. Now, this is about the core library. Now, let's proceed with the UI and core library. In UI and core library, this will help you with the creators components, creators UI components. For example, if we want to perform any actions, like on a click of a button, I want a form to come up as a pop-up. Now we can do that because this will provide you the UI components of the creator. Also, on the top of it, you can write your own custom UI and perform the CRUD operations. Again, whatever app that we are building will use the data that is already present in the different modules of Zoho Creator, which is forms, reports, and pages. Now let's understand this building approach, that we will be having the Zoho Creator's UI and the functionalities. You will also write the Android project code. Then to bridge this, we have the UI and core SDK library. These libraries have different classes. So we have 5 classes over here. The first class is the ZC UI SDK util. So using this, we can manage the interface of your applications. Now, to talk about the second class, which is the ZC API util, which will help you to manage the list of applications associated to your account. And then we have the ZC Form API util. This will help you to add, edit, and update the records in the form. Then we have the ZC Report API util, which will help you to access and manage that different 8 types of reports that we have in the Zoho Creator. And finally, we have ZC Page API util, which will help you to access the page components. So now let's go to the demonstration and we will understand how to build the framework for the SDK. So this is the document that we have. This document will be shared by the co-trainer in the chat. So in this document, you will be having how to build the core framework for the users as well as for the customers. Also, the Android libraries is given. The classes are given here. Now, in today's session, for the demonstration purpose, we are building the UI and core framework for the users. So let me open that. And why are we choosing UI and core framework? So that I can navigate where both core and UI will be covered in the same framework. So this is the document. Excuse me. So now let's follow the document. Let's follow every step that is mentioned in the document and we will create the framework. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, please drop the questions in the question tab and the co-trainers will be really happy to answer all your questions. So the prerequisite is we should have the latest version of Android Studio. So I have downloaded the latest version of Android Studio based on my system specification. So based on your system specification, please download the Android Studio. And the next step is we have to register the Android app with Zoho. So let's see what to do in order to register your Android app. We have to log into the Creator platform and under the deploy section. So if you see, we have the mobile option. We'll click on the mobile option and then we'll be able to see create new mobile app. So let's do that. Here I am navigating to my Creator platform. Under deploy, we have mobile. So let me click on mobile. Here we have the option for mobile app where we used this section for the rebranding. And now we have this SDK. I'm clicking on SDK. And towards the right hand side, I hope create new option is visible. So I'm clicking on create new. We have to choose the application. So let me choose my application. I'm using Zilker real estate application in order to build the framework. So I'm doing it for the users. So keeping that as users and we are selecting software development kit, which is the SDK. Now, once all the inputs are given, the next option will be highlighted. We can click on the next option. So once you click on the next option, the first step is to generate client. So this will create an identity in the Zoho's inventory. In the Zoho's directory. So I'll click on generate client. And now you can click on create. This will help to create the identity and it'll bring you back to the same page. Over here, we got the client ID, client secret, redirect URL. So let me just go back to the document. So we are done with this third step, which is generating the client, where we registered and created an identity in the Zoho's directory. Proceeding forward, we got the client ID, client secret, and the redirect URL. The next step is we have a file called ZC App Info Properties. We need to download that. And after downloading, we need to add that to the project's raw folder. And they've also mentioned the path. If the folder is not there, we have to create a folder in the name of raw. So let's see how to do that. Let me first go to Creator platform, just opening the Creator platform. If you see, we have the ZC App Info Properties. I'm clicking on download. Now, the file got downloaded. Now let me go to the Android Studio. I'm creating a new project. So I'll click on this and then I'm going to click on the new project. So here I'm creating an empty activity and then click on next. So I'm naming that to be Zilker Real Estate. And here I'm clicking on finish. So my project got created. Our next step is we have downloaded the ZC App Info Properties. We are going to push that file into our app's raw folder. So let's see how to do that. I'm going to go to my Finder. And here in the downloads, I have the ZC App Info Properties. I'll copy that. And now I'll search for the Zilker Real Estate. I'll open that. And now let's understand the path one more time. Here we are. The path is the project folder. Let me zoom in. Yeah, the project folder, app, source, main, and then inside the resource folder, which is RES, we are going to create a raw folder. So let's follow the same path now. We are inside the app and SRC, the source, now main, and then the resource folder. So we do not have a raw folder. Let's create one. I'm creating a new folder. And I'm just renaming the folder to be raw. And inside the raw folder, I'm pasting the ZC App Info Properties file. So the next step is also done. Let me go back to the Android Studio. So I'll keep the file nearby so it'll be easy for us to navigate. So here we are. The next step is, so remember, the Android app must have the minimum SDK version should be 22 or higher, and we are using the Kotlin file format. So the first step is to integrate the SDK with our Android app, and we have to copy this Maven function, and we are going to paste that in the app build.gradle. If app build.gradle do not have this Maven function, then we are going to paste that in the settings.gradle. So let me go back. Now, what is this Maven function? This will compile all the code together and create a build. So here we are inside the Gradle scripts. I'm going to go inside the settings.gradle and I'm pasting it inside the Maven Central. So this URL is not in a perfect syntax. So let's write that in a perfect syntax. We have to give a equal to sign and then write URI. Then we need to enclose that within the simple braces within the double quotation. So once you added your Maven function, this is going to ask you for sync now. So you can click on sync now. After adding that, next is we are going to integrate the Zoho Creator UI library with the authentication library. In order to do that, we have certain dependencies file. So I'm copying this dependency file and I'm going to paste it in the app build.gradle. So let's navigate back to the folder. So here we have this build.gradle, which is for the module app. Let me zoom in that. Okay, 1 second. Okay, here it is. We have the dependency files at the end. Let me just scroll down. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay, so here we have all the dependencies file, and along with this, we are going to add the dependency file that we have copied from the document. So let's give this the proper syntax where I'm enclosing that within the braces and also giving it the double quotation. Similarly, performing the same steps for the next dependency file. So we have added the dependencies. Once the dependencies are added, again, we are going to sync now just to update everything. Okay, now let's go back. So now we have integrated the Zoho Creator UI library with the authentication library by adding the implementation file, and also we have synced everything. Next is we are going to configure the project. In order to configure the project, we have a set of code and we need to copy this code from in here and paste it in strings.xml. So let me copy this. And I'm just navigating back. We have to open the strings.xml. The path will be inside the resource folder, inside values. We have strings.xml. Let's open that. And I'm going to paste it here. This is where we are connecting, like we are configuring the app, because we have to add the client ID, client secret, and the redirect URI. So let me just go to the creator platform. So here we have the client ID. Let's copy the client ID. And I'm pasting the client ID here. Remove the extra spaces if you have any. Next, I'm going to paste the client secret. The next one is the redirect URI. So next we have the very important thing, that is In the accounts URL, here it is given as accounts.zoho.com. So now let's take a look at the document. So they have mentioned if your DC is different. For example, if you're from the US and if you have a DC as .com, then we have to write it as .com. My creator account is in .in. If you see, it is creator.zoho.in. So what I'm doing is I need to change that to IN. So based on your DC, if you have any doubts, then you have a learn more. You have another file that actually says about the different DC that you have. If it is US, then it's .com. If it's Europe, it's .eu. In India, it's .in. So based on this, you can edit your DC in the Android Studio. So over here, I'm going to write it as IN. So this is how we have configured the application right now. So now let's go to the document and perform the next step. So the next step is in the onCreate method in your application or in the activity class, initialize the accounts SDK as follows. So we have to initialize the accounts SDK, but before initializing, we have to create a launcher activity. This launcher activity file will be acting as a login screen for your application. So first, let's copy the code from here and then let's navigate to the Android Studio. Over here inside the Kotlin, we have the com.example.zilker.st. Just right click on that. We have to open a new activity which has to be an empty activity. And as this is a launcher screen, we have to check in this launcher activity and I'm naming that as launcher activity. And I click on finish. So inside this launcher activity, we have to initialize the SDK. So I have copied the code and they have mentioned that it has to be inside the onCreate. So I'm pasting the code here. So once I paste the code, if I place my cursor over here, this is asking for import class. Now, when we copy any code from a different file or different document and paste it, this will ask to import the directives. So these directives is based on the dependencies file that we have added already. So I'm just importing the class. I've clicked on import class. And now the show logs, I'm writing it at, it is to be false. Let me just say you what is this show logs and scopes. So here we'll be having the different scopes that we can perform. And the show logs is to show the debug logs or not. So I'm copying these scopes as of now and then I'll paste it. So we have to paste the scope by creating a companion object. So we create companion object when we are creating any class inside a function. So that has to be accompanied with this name called companion object. So I've created a companion object and then a constant value for the scopes. And let's paste the scopes that we copied. It will show an error. We just have to make some changes, that is to concatenate. Let me just complete that real quick. So these are the scopes that we can perform. Basically the CRUD operations that we can perform. Okay, so we are done in correcting all the errors. Let's see what's the next step. Next is we had the launcher activity, which will act as a login page now. Now, what if we have to redirect to different pages or different activities? Then we have a file called handle redirect activity. So we have to create an activity called handle redirect activity and then paste this code in the onCreate method. So remember the name of the file has to be handle redirect activity. So I'm taking this name and then I'll right click on this and then I'll create a new activity, again an empty views activity. This time I'm not checking in the launcher activity because this is not my login screen. This is handle redirect activity. And then I'll click on finish. So the activity got created and we are going to paste the given code. So I'm pasting the given code. So once we paste, we can import the class using our dependencies. So this is also done. Now let's see what's the next thing. Next is we have to add the following code to the Android manifest.xml. So we know this Android manifest XML, this file will describes about the application to the Android Studio. Now we are going to copy this code and then we'll navigate to the Android Studio. We'll open Android manifest file. So here we have the launcher activity and then we have the main activity. So below to the launcher activity, I'm pasting the handle redirect activity. Whatever handle redirect activity is present already, I've removed that. And over here, if you see, this is asking to paste the redirect URI without the colon and slash. So I'm just going to the creator platform and then copying the redirect URI without the colon and the slash. So I pasted it here. Okay, this launcher activity will act as a launch the login page. So here again, this main activity is acting as a login page. So I'm just removing this intent filter code. So let's move to the next step. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, please drop it in the questions tab. Next is, in order to open the login screen, we have the below code snippet. So I'm copying this code. We know the login screen is inside the launcher activity. So I'm going to paste this code inside the launcher activity. So I'm copying this and then going to the launcher activity. Over here, let me paste it. And quickly we'll import all the classes. Okay, and now we have to add a code inside this override fun. Like if the login is successful, what should happen? And if the login fails, what has to happen? So I have the code. Let me share the code in the chat as well. So this is just the code that we have, the Android code that we have. So you can also check the code. I'll say what has to be changed. Oh, let me copy the code. So first, when the login is successful, I'm going to paste this code. So here I'm pasting it. You will be also having a command. This method will be called after the user logged in successfully. So I'm pasting that code and make sure to import the classes as well. All you need to check is whether the launcher activity name, like over here I've created as launcher activity only. So here also I've mentioned launcher activity. If your launcher activity name is different, then we have to change that alone over here. Next is what will happen if it fails. So that's what we are going to paste it here. So I'll copy the code again for the failure and I'll paste it. So let me just paste this code in the else condition and then I'm going to write user logged in successfully. So once the login is done, this message will be displayed. So we have added the codes for the login, if the login is successful, if the login is failed, or if the user has already logged in and the login page got opened. So this is the code that we have added in the launcher activity. Next is we have to create an interface for the authentication, which is for the creator's authentication. We need to create a file for that. So let me copy the code. I'll go back We are going to create a file, but this time this is not an activity. We are creating a Kotlin class file. I'm going to name that as ZC auth implementation, and then it's a class, so I'll just create that. Inside this, we are pasting in order to create the interface for the authentication. So let me import all the classes. Yes, this is done. Next is we have to add the following code in the onCreate method to set this instance, because we have created the authentication. We are going to add this inside the onCreate method where in the launcher activity. So I'll copy this code and then we'll go to the launcher activity. I'm going to paste the code in here. Then we'll import the class. Authentication interface, okay, it's here. Okay, so we are done with this. Next step is to add the code in the Android manifest file. So this Android manifest file, as I mentioned earlier, is going to describe about the application. So we'll add that inside the application tag. So here we have the application tag. Inside that, we are adding this code. So now we have added all the code that is mentioned. We need to change one thing, which is in the target SDK. Let me make that change, and then we are going to run and see how our core framework is working. So let me just go back in here. The first change, let me check. Okay. So next is I need to change the version in the build.gradle. I'm just making that change alone. So the application is working when the target SDK is 33, and I'm now syncing it. Then we'll run the app. If we conquer any error, then we also have the frequently asked question where when these errors are faced, then we are going to replace the codes or add these codes in the respective files or in the respective classes in order to rectify. So first let's run. So the first error will be on the debug main manifest. It's about the merge conflict. So I'm just copying this code. They have mentioned that we have to paste this code under the application tag in the Android manifest.xml file. So we will go there and then we are going to paste it in here. We'll try to run again. Okay, so now this is saying about the duplicate class that is found. So we have the next error that if we find any error on duplicate class is found, then we need to add this code in the Gradle properties file, which says about the Android.enable Jetifier, which is true. So we'll replace that alone in the Gradle properties. So I'll minimize this and then I'll go to the Gradle properties. And we have to paste that Jetifier is true, and then we'll sync it now. And now we'll play and check. If again we conquer any error, they have given us one more way to debug it. Okay, we got the login screen. Now we'll try to log in. If we face any error again, then we'll have another debug code. So let's see that. Okay, so this is Zilker Real Estate. That's what the application that been doing. We have actually built the core framework, I mean core and the UI framework. So I'm just scrolling down and click on accept. So this says login successful, which means our core framework got created properly. Now, as I do not have the UI of this respective application, we have a sample application which is given in the document as well. So let me open that. So here in the document, we have the sample application. I have downloaded that sample application where the UI of the application is also available. So I'll show how that application was initially created, how the mobile view is, and then we will see how it has been customized in the mobile SDK. Okay, so you can also download this DS file and see how this application is working and how the mobile SDK has been used in that. So that will give you a clear idea. So now let me just navigate to the creator platform. I have downloaded that application, which is the utility app. So this is what that application is, which basically has four modules in it. We have the supplies module, we have a few supply items available, and we can enter the seating location and click on submit. So inside the supplies module, we have all supplies, which is a report. And then inside the shuttles, we can book the shuttle, we can choose the gender, and then we can choose the drop location. So if you want the same form to be used in your application, then we will use UI and core SDK. Or if you want the meta details, the meta information about the form, then in that case we will use the core SDK, and then we will fetch the meta details of your form. So similarly, we have cantons, and then we have also have the complaints module. Now let me just we'll try to connect it to the Android tab, and then I'll show you how the mobile view of the application is. I'll open the application, which is the A Power Mirror. So this is how the mobile view of that application will look like. So it has the supplies, my request, shuttle, my bookings, and when we open, if you see, like we can enter the details, but the look and feel is, it's just very similar to the web application. Now we have made some customizations in this using the mobile SDK. Let me open that app. So this is the utility app that we have customized now. So this has a different interface completely. If you see the shuttle, supplies, canteen, and complaints, if, the entire interface is looking different, right? Where rather the actual interface was like this, but using the SDK, the interface is like this. So they have performed core and UI both in different modules. So for the interface, it's basically core because they have made the complete customization. And now once we open the shuttle, here in the my bookings we have the reports, and then here if I just, here they have accessed the creators component itself. So they have used core and UI. So in this way they have made different, like they have made different customizations using the mobile SDK in Zoho Creator. Also, if you see the supplies, this they have used as a core SDK because the options were like this. It's just the checkbox. Now, if you see, the look and feel is completely different. We have used different icons in order to proceed with the options. So we can choose the option. So once you choose the option, it's been highlighted in red color, and then we can click on next on the top. So the complete UI got changed where they have used core SDK. Now let me just disconnect this as of now, and I'm going to the Android Studio. Let me open that application. So this is the application that I was talking about, which is the utility application. Let me go to the launcher activity first. So in the launcher activity, In the launch screen, once we log in, once the token access token is successful, then the user details will be asked. We the display name and then the email, so we have to enter the name and the email. Then if the login is failed, then it will redirect to Zoho error codes, which will actually have different error codes. So and that library will shows what error has occurred. So this is in the launcher screen. And also the launcher screen has different layouts for your different modules, which is the shuttles, supplies, etc. So this is a quick gist about the launcher screen. Now let me quickly open the supplies activity. So in the supplies activity, okay, first thing is how the Android Studio and the creator is connected. If you see here, we have the app owner, app link name, the component link name, and the component name, and also the field link name. So this is how it fetches the meta information. And then we want to make some customization. So how that customization is happening? Over here we have the SDK. So once the status is loaded, it will get all the components. It will get the components of app owner, app link name. So basically we will first load the form and then we will get the choices. Similarly, the if condition is being written for what will happen when we submit the form. Also, this supplies module, as I showed you, like when we were seeing in the mobile, the different options were there, which has been completely converted into the icons like structure. So, how that is working? We have collected all the icons. Let me just navigate the code real quick. We have collected all the icons, and then the icons are stored in an array list. Now we are using this list to get the icons is loaded as a choices. And once we choose the choice, what has to happen? The color has to change, the UI has to change, and there will be a next button. So all the codes based on the UI is being given here. So this is about the supplies activity. So let's go inside every other modules that we have and see where the SDK has been got built. So let's see in the shuttle activity. Here we have the app name, app owner's name, link name, and all, and also the component name got fetched. Here a build is created. So this build is named as ZC application current app, where it has a combination of your app name, app owner name, link name, etc., and then the current component name. Also, we have a form fragment. Form fragment will help to run the form or manage all the forms in a faster way. So we can use this form fragments wherever we want to load that respective form or that respective fragment alone. And then, so if we set the like the version, or if we are choosing any activity, choosing any options, all your details will be stored in the backend and the creator. So this is about the shuttle activity. And next we have the complaints activity. So in complaints activity, again here we have the SDK, which shows about the application name, owner name, and the module's name, module link name, and all. Then if we want to fetch any details from the field, then we will use the dot function. For example, we'll write the app link name and then dot the form name dot the field link name. This is how we will edit or update any CRUD operations we perform. Then we will use the dot functions in order to fetch the details. This is in the complaints activity. So we have another activity called canteen activity. So in canteen activity as well, the SDK is built here. It's over here. And then what should happen when you scroll or when you proceed, all the codes is being written. So if you have any application, you have any application for the mobile, the custom application, and you want the creator to act as a backend, then this personalization can be achieved using the creator's mobile SDK. let's go finally into the handle redirect activity. As I mentioned, the handle redirect activity will help you to navigate to different activities. So as of now, we saw what the launcher activity has in it, what the compliance activity or canton activity, shuttle, and supplies. All these activities are based on this application. This has fetched the data of that respective application. If you are connecting to any of the application, all the modules and the forms will be added as an activity in your Android project. So I hope this is pretty much clear. Now I'm just navigating to the presentation. Okay, so now let's understand the benefits of using the Zoho Creators Mobile SDK. The very first thing that we have is it will save a lot of time and money, because we are not going to invest a longer time or a lot of money in order to write the code from scratch to create a customized mobile application. Rather, we are going to use the mobile SDK, which is like a tool right now, and it will have APIs, it will have libraries, it will have sample codes which will just help you to write your custom UI for your application, which can change the look and feel of your application. Next is easy implementation. Okay, now when we talk about the implementation, I forgot to mention one step. Let me just go back to the Android Studio. So in the Android Studio, we basically, like, we are done in writing the UI of my application. Now what will be the next step is we have an option called build, and then we have this build app bundle as APK. So I have downloaded this APK, and then I've shared it to the mobile. So that's what uh, I was showing in the mobile view. I've downloaded that APK in my mobile and the application was working. So once your application is working fine, then we can publish that uh, APK file, or you can publish that APK file in the Play Store, where you can publish your entire application itself. So this is how the implementation is working. So here we are back. So it's about the easy implementation, and then we have a detailed documentation where entire step-by-step procedure is given. Then we can follow the document to create your UI, or you can create your UI or core and UI. Next, the enhanced app performance. You saw how the app has got completely changed. The look and feel, the functionalities got completely changed. Then the user activity will be increased in that. So this is where the enhanced app performance is. Next, let's summarize the session now. So we saw about the introduction of the mobile SDK, and followed by the mobile SDK in Zoho Creator. How Zoho Creator is managing in order to build custom mobile applications. And we also saw what are the different SDK types we have, the libraries that is involved along with their classes. Then we had a demonstration how to build the core framework. We also wrapped the session with the benefits. If you have any Okay, so before, like, if you have any questions, please drop them in the questions tab. Meanwhile, let me say about the upcoming sessions that we have. So, in today, the Creator Tech Connect series is about the mobile SDK in Zoho Creator for Android. And if you're interested, or if any of your friends are interested to know about the mobile SDK in Zoho Creator for iOS, then you can share the link that you have it in the chat box. The code trainer will be sharing the link, or you can scan the QR code and share it with your colleagues or friends who will be who is interested in to know about the mobile SDK in Zoho Creator for iOS. For all the new entries over here, I've missed to mention what Creator Tech Connect series is a month-on-month free webinar that we conduct in order to explore the technical nuances that we have it in the Creator platform. So in order to see more about that, please stay tuned with the Creator Tech Connect series. And next we have is the Learning Table series. The upcoming session for the Learning Table series is on the Creator for Professional Services. So what the Learning Table series is, that this is again a month-on-month free webinar that we conduct, where this will happen for 12 months, 12 industry. We will pick an industry, we'll identify the problem statement in that, and we'll try to automate the problem statement over the top of Creator. So in that case, we have Creator for professional services in the upcoming session, which is happening on July 4th. If you are interested, or if any of your friends or colleagues are interested in know how to use Zoho Creator for different industries, please, you can scan the QR code and you can register yourself or share it with your friends or colleagues and make them register for the respective session. If you have any questions, please drop the questions in the question tab and the co-trainers will be answering the question. There will also be a poll initiated from our end, so you can access the poll. So in this online training, it will happen for 3 days. Each day it will happen for 4 hours. The training is completely based on the Creator platform, and it happens on 2 stages. Stage 1 is for the business users, and stage 2 is for the associate developer. If you're interested, you can scan the QR code, check the schedule, and register yourself for the same. I thank everyone who have participated in the session. So thank you so much for your time and patience. We'll meet in another session. Thank you so much.